you can't build a company without knowing yourself and what you care about. Otherwise, you build a company that you don't like and you hate, and then you end up being pissed off at your company and you resent it.
So this is helping you get clear on the life you want to live and how you want to live it.
Then you design the business.
You design the business as to help support and prop you up to be able to live this life you want to live.
Yeah.
Versus building this business that is going to run your life.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so a lot of times at William Painter, we say no to opportunities because it's like, well, does it help is it going to be worth the time and effort, or does it make our life better?
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's how we're making decisions now.
Hey everybody, I'm Brian Gates, and this is TRU Leader SHiFT. Our mission is to expand awareness of what's possible in life and business. I created this show to introduce you to business leaders and life hackers so that you can learn about the pivotal moments in their lives that shifted their perspective on what it means to be successful. My next guest is Matt DeCelles. He's co-founder and CEO of William Painter. William Painter creates products that support your active lifestyle and keep up with you during your adventures. Their sunglasses are virtually indestructible, and their original pair were designed to open beer bottles. They believe that everybody deserves to have the best products with solid customer service that treats you like family. I love Matt's reasons behind running the company. He's determined to continue to live a life of adventure, and he's incredibly growth-minded. So his company is an excuse for him to continue to have crazy experiences while creating great content. He works every day to boost their e-commerce platform, enhance their technology, and uplevel their customer service. Matt is a true visionary. His team describes him as having the business acumen of Zuckerberg, the ethics of Nelson Mandela, and the work ethic and the appetite of a horse. He's definitely someone you want to continue to follow. I'm really excited to introduce you to him. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt DeCelles. Matt.
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. You and I met a while ago, and we reconnected a couple of days ago, and it further reminded me of what an interesting and fascinating guy you are. And how your mind works is like no one else I've ever met. Let's start with your business, William Painter.
Yeah.
You guys founded that or launched it in 2012.
Right.
And your success has been off the charts. So
thanks.
Congrats.
Doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, there's been some challenges along the way, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's just a journey.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the journey, about William Painter and you in that process.
We started the company kind of as a joke. It was basically talked with a friend, and we wanted to start a company that made basically bottle openers for sunglasses, because my friend was at a ski club, and there's like 3,000 people in the club, and they're out in the sun and they drink a lot.
Right.
So we were like, well, that'd be crazy to make a product like that, and then we never did anything with it. And then
when was that?
Because it was really late at night when we were talking about it.
Okay.
And then the next few days, he applied to Kickstarter, which is early in Kickstarter days, it was like 2011.
Okay.
And we got accepted, and I was like, well, it's a stupid idea, but I want to do a Kickstarter because Kickstarter is new and cool.
Right.
And that's how we started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so how did that first Kickstarter go?
It was really challenging because Kickstarter changed the rules halfway through our application process. So we were approved, then they changed it so that you actually needed a physical prototype, and then we were unapproved, and then we appealed, and then we were approved again. So it's kind of a scary process because we'd already invested some money, just my own money into it, and that was like all the money I had. So I think it was like $5,000 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a lot to invest into a joke.
Right.
And then we had a few friends kind of join our adventure, Patrick Eckstein, and he had a lot of experience making things cool, and he's also like very social, so he had a lot of friends kind of help support the campaign. And the campaign ended up doing like $25,000 or something. And that was enough to kind of buy inventory.
And pay yourself back.
I don't even know if it was enough to pay myself back. I think it was enough to like buy the inventory.
Okay. All right.
Maybe pay myself back a little bit. And then we found a sourcing guy on Elance at the time, which is now, I think, Upwork. And he was only on Elance for 1 day. And we contacted him, got him, started the process. It's really challenging to make that product from an engineering perspective, because it has to be super strong to be able to open a beer, and it has to be high quality. And so we ended up looking at like magnesium, aluminum, steel. Steel's too heavy, aluminum's not strong enough. We ended up with titanium because it's really strong and light. And because we're using titanium, it made the glasses really expensive to make. So we're like, we might as well use the best lenses too.
Okay.
And then we ended up making a great product somehow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it is a great product. And you guys are selling a bunch of them because of the reputation of the glasses.
Yeah. Now we are, yeah. But it was a very long, hard journey.
I'm sure. Yeah. And I mean, your glasses, you said they were expensive, but I just checked them out today, and most of them are less than $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you must have brought those costs down along the way.
Not really, actually. We're still probably the most expensive pairs to make in the entire industry.
To make, okay.
Yeah, probably twice what another premium brand would be.
Okay.
But we have a different business model. So we sell direct to the customer, so we don't have to go through Sunglass Hut or Nordstrom's or something like that. So we're basically if you do that, then you have to, basically they take half. So if you're selling for 200, they take 100, you have 100 left. So we sell direct to the customer, so we get the full, 200, and then we invest it in the product.
Oh, that's great.
So we can actually make our products a lot better than anyone else because we go direct to consumer.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, it's really a lot easier to form a relationship with a customer than it was in the past.
Do you have any plans at all of ever going through distributors?
No.
Okay. Always direct to consumer. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And the name William Painter, an inventor?
Yeah. He invented the bottle cap and the bottle opener.
Okay.
So he, this was in the 1800s, and he basically changed the industry from corks to the bottle cap.
And why William Painter?
Because our first pairs opened beers, and he was the guy that invented the bottle opener.
Yeah, how did you know that? How did you know
we didn't. Naming things is really hard. It's probably the hardest part of the whole company is naming it. We actually originally named the company Liquid Shades. And then this is right after Kickstarter, launched the campaign, made enough, ordered the product, so Liquid Shades had this cool raindrop little logo on it. Got them delivered on December 1st, and then got a cease and desist on December 23rd. So the guy was like, "We're suing you, and you need to change the name and destroy all the inventory."
Wow.
I was like, man, 23 days. We lasted 23 days. And then I was like, hey, don't sue us. Let me have a beer with you. We'll talk this out. And then we met up. We had a beer. I was like, we're just a bunch of kids. We don't even know anything, because he had a company called Liquid Eye Pro. Okay. So it was causing confusion in the industry. So that's fair. I mean, that's what trademark is.
And those were sunglasses as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was right. We hired a lawyer in the beginning, and he's like, yeah, it's a gray area. We hired like a really cheap lawyer because we didn't have any money, and he was wrong. So anyway, so then he's like, you have to shut down your website, and you have to destroy the inventory. We're like, okay. I mean, in exchange for not suing us and letting us live. So we took down the site, and then we had to rename the company, and that's when we tried to figure out a name, and we ended up at William Painter. It took 4 or 5 months to name it again. Wow. We really wanted to do it right, and we had all these stupid names for the company, and one of Patrick's friends was like, how about William Painter? He's the guy that invented the bottle opener. I'm like, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
And our lawyers say that he's dead enough, so.
He's dead enough?
Yeah.
There won't be any issues with ancestors and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, so William Painter was a very famous inventor, and he really did revolutionize the bottle cap. So he has a company called Crown Holdings. It's worth like $7 billion.
Wow.
So the company's still around.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But so then we were in this really crazy situation where we had just spent all of our money on inventory, and it all had the wrong logo on it. And so we tried to figure out, we didn't have enough money to buy more.
And you couldn't just erase that logo, put a new one on.
Well, it was dangerous because we wanted to ship them back to our factory, but shipping stuff into China is actually harder than shipping it out. So if it got seized, we'd be bankrupt. So what we decided to do was, instead of shipping it via FedEx, I would just be FedEx. So we put all the suitcases in bags, and I flew to China, and I handed it to them, and then I flew back. And then we eventually changed it. We didn't even know what the name was going to be at the time that we got the product over there. So we're like, hold this. We're going to come up with a name. We're going to get a logo figured out, and then we'll change it back.
No kidding.
And that's when we became Lane Painter.
Wow. So talk about producing product in China. How was that journey? How has that been for you?
It was stressful in the beginning because we didn't trust them and they didn't trust us. I think there's a huge misconception over how business is done over there. So one, like, they don't really care about a contract. They don't really care about money. They care about family. And so if you are family, they take care of you and they make sure they do like quality stuff. I think with traditional retail businesses, you're always getting pressure from the retailers on your margin, mostly because retail's dying. So as those big retailers start dying, they put pressure on you, the product, to make it cheaper. So then you go to China and you go, make it cheaper, and then they go, okay, no problem. They always want to do what you say.
Yeah.
It's just like they don't tell you what the cost of that is on the product quality. So when we went over there, we're like, make it as expensive as you need to make it to be fair. We just want the best product. That's all we care about. Like, we want you to do well, and we're going to do well if it's a good product. And then so that they never cut corners with us, and we never had an issue with quality.
That's great. So you just had to set real clear expectations.
Yeah.
Ask
And
the
then
right
just
questions.
be family with them. So I literally fly over there at least once or twice a year just to have dinner with them. It's not a really talking product per se. Just have a relationship.
What was the most stressful moment in
Well,
the
definitely
journey?
the like threatened lawsuit thing, destroying the inventory part was huge because it was like we were dead. We had no resources, so it was really scary. There's been probably like 20 times that we've literally written in our journals, there's no way we're coming out of this. No way. So
how does that feel when you're going through that?
It's definitely stressful, but it's also part of the journey. That's like one of the things we always say is like, enjoy the journey. And you try and appreciate those moments because it's just part of the ride. And I think if it's something that you really care about and it feels authentic and it's aligned with your values, then it's worth doing.
So when all that said, when you think there's a good chance this is going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sunglass company selling online. Like, no one had done that.
So then, I mean, are you enjoying the journey when you're writing in your journal, hey, we might be done tomorrow, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it never felt like work, ever, the whole time. And it was not like it's easy. It was grinding it out. I mean, all the time, just working nonstop. We never paid ourselves because we couldn't. So we didn't pay ourselves for the first 5 years.
Wow.
So I was driving for Uber. I bought a Prius to drive for Uber because I wanted it to be efficient at least.
Yeah.
And then Patrick was working double shifts in the bar. So he would work like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day, like at the bar, all day, all night. And then I would drive for Uber all night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like 16-hour days, just driving. And then the rest of the time we'd work on Lane Painter.
Wow. And take some naps.
And it was just enough to like eat, have enough food to eat. And,
so what kept you going? Why were you continuing?
It was fun, and I enjoyed working with him, and I felt like our product really was the best. So I knew that if enough people just knew about this thing, it would work. I sometimes felt like we were going crazy because our product is, in my opinion, so much better than anything else. But it back then it just wasn't selling, and I don't understand. If you hand it to someone, they're like, this is clearly better.
Yeah.
And it's the same price.
Yeah.
And we do a lifetime guarantee. Like, why would you not do that? So actually, like, while I was driving for Uber, I would show people the glasses, and I end up selling a bunch of glasses through the car.
Nice.
I don't know. I remember when we sold like 2 pairs in one day, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, we're crushing. We're going to be so rich. Like, that's $9,000 a month, revenue.
Right. So then, in getting to know you, I know that when you don't know something, you dive in like 1,000% and you become an expert in that area and you just understand how that works. So at the beginning, what I heard you say is you understood the product side, got the best product. Why the hell is it not selling? So which is more the marketing, the e-commerce side.
Yeah.
So then what did you do to start to understand that and get that ramped up? Because clearly today you guys are killing it. You're killing it in a lot of different ways. You're killing it in your growth trajectory, but also just the content that you're putting out and the views that you're getting. And your but a video you guys put out 3 months ago has 41 million views.
Yeah.
The title is "If You or Somebody You Love Has a Face."
Right.
That's a hilarious video.
Thanks.
Love it.
Thanks.
So I mean, you've come a long way. So talk about that journey and what have you learned along the way?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think we actually had it right, like in the beginning. Our actual original Kickstarter video was pretty similar to the video that we just put out.
Really?
But it like wasn't executed well, and we didn't understand the messaging right. We knew that like things need to be funny and engaging, which we just like barely missed it actually back then. And you can go watch that video.
Which may have been a good thing, because if you had that many views, that would have been hard
No,
to
we
keep
would
up
have
with.
lost everything for sure. And also, if you get major funding, we for sure would have gone bankrupt. Because it's like you just don't know what you're doing. You get lazy. So we chose to struggle to like figure it out as cheap as possible. So in 2013, we went through this program called SDSI, San Diego Sports Innovators. It's where you present in front of a bunch of mentors your business at like for investment. And basically you just get destroyed like over and over and over again. I would say it was very helpful in that it forced us to really think about the business model itself and all these things. And we drew this triangle. And we're like, at the top of the triangle is Red Bull. At the bottom left side of the triangle is Tesla. And the bottom right side of the triangle is Zappos. And basically we want to be really good at content production and syndication. We want to have really innovative products like Tesla. And we want to have amazing customer experience like Zappos. And all through a direct-to-consumer channel. Then all our mentors were like, you can't do that. And you need to go into retail and you need to do trade shows. And like, that's how we did it. That's how you should do it. And so we did. And it probably cost us like 2 years. But I mean, you got to trust those guys. They're like titans of industry. I mean, huge guys. So we did. Right. And now we're doing exactly what is in the triangle, which is kind of funny. All right. So we are getting really good at producing content, syndicating that content, making great products, and delivering great customer experience. That's the entire focus of the company, is those three things.
So then, and this is what I find fascinating about you, because even when we sit down together, as soon as I started talking a little bit about my business, you're automatically going into, how can I help Brian? How can I, really boost his business? How can I solve this problem? And within seconds, I mean, you almost like, you started to say a couple of words, and by the time those words were out, you already had it figured out, and then you started talking about what direction I should take it and how you can help me with that. So I'm not surprised that your original thing that you've already figured out at the beginning that was it.
Yeah.
So I don't know really what question to ask, but I want to know how the heck you are able to see forward like that and visualize and put these pieces together. Like, how would you describe that process for you?
That's a great question. I will say that while that concept was correct, we didn't know how to do it. And the mentors were like, how do you do that? And we're like, we don't know. Okay.
You knew it was the answer.
Our idea was to produce content, like make a viral video, and then to have it be so good that media would just share it, right? Like Red Bull, basically, they do some ridiculous event, and then it just gets shared because it's so crazy. That was our idea, and they're like, that's not scalable, and they were right. But what we figured out over several years is that you don't just let things go viral. You don't let other people syndicate it. You just pay for the views. And then you design a math formula, essentially. How can you afford to pay for the view through a conversion of a product on the back end? So once you do that, then you just spend as much as you possibly can. Okay. All right.
And you keep tweaking as the inputs to the formula are changing.
Right.
Okay.
And like the inputs are like, how can I create something that has a cheap enough cost to acquire to be able to send traffic? How can I develop web assets and other systems to convert better? So like your website needs to be good and convert. You need to have email flows, like all these different parts of email flows. You have email capture, retargeting, etc. And then you need to have an average order value over a certain amount. Then you need to have a great product. Like if the product sucks, then you're still dead.
Yeah.
And then you need to have a great customer experience, which leads to a long lifetime value. That's the formula.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's the e-commerce formula.
That is
right
it.
there,
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing else.
I mean, that's cookie cutter, can be applied to any product business.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's like you have to have good product, you have to have good customer experience, you have to have good content, and you gotta have good web assets. That's it.
Let's shift and talk about you. Let's you were born and raised just outside of Napa, right?
Yeah, a little town called Yountville.
Yountville. And what were you like as a kid?
I think it was pretty clear early on. I just knew that I wanted to be in control of my destiny and that I wanted to be independent and be able to create wealth, because like life is short and you need to be able to be in control of your own adventures and be able to go experience life. It would just really suck to do something that you hate your entire life and then retire and try and live.
What was it that you were seeing or noticing that had you at such an early age go in that path?
I don't know. I just maybe it was my mom really stressed out at work or something. My mom she was a dietitian and she really loves like dietitian stuff. So I think that she was in her field, but she was so stressed out all the time. It was just kind of, it was hard. I don't know if that was the reason, but I somehow I remember being very clear that like I'm not going to do that. And I worked really, really hard as a kid. Like I had a full-time job pretty much in, I think like 5th grade, something like that. So I had to get all these permits to prove it wasn't child labor. And then I worked full-time in high school at a restaurant. So and I was like saving and like reading all the financial books and I would meet with bankers at a really young age and be like, can I move this money into a money market and then move it over here? And they're like, yeah, in principle, yes, but like you don't really have enough money to make a difference.
Yeah.
My dad, sometimes he would teach me a lesson through me losing all of my money.
Really?
Yeah, which was hard. I like appreciate that, but it was difficult. Like he would.
What's an example of that?
Oh, like my uncle did this investment with this guy in commodities, but the guy was like kind of a nut job. Like he like literally thought he could speak to God and like then pick the commodities.
Oh wow.
And
if he could, that would be.
I know, right? It's a great. He's like, I can talk to God and do this, and I was like 12, so I didn't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
great.
This is awesome. And he's like, you should probably be able to make 5x. And I'm like, well, I'm a 12-year-old, and I had made a lot of money like through working, just brutal hours. And so I probably had like 5,000 or something. And I was like, if I 5x that, it's 25,000 as a 12-year-old. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think my dad kind of knew this guy was crazy, and he's like, you can do it or you can not. It's your choice. So I did, and then I lost it all. So
so he let you fail.
Yeah, and I'm talking about it now, so I learned the lesson.
Yeah.
It was really painful, though.
Yeah. Well, that's tough love, right? Allowing your child to fail
Yeah.
like that because you know the lessons that will be had.
Yeah, it still burns today, so it's pretty.
It's a lesson you will never forget. Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. And then you ended up leaving and going to school, coming down to San Diego, San Diego State, and talk about your experience there. It sounds like you did all the things.
Yeah, I went to a really small high school, and I wanted to go to a really large college. So San Diego State, I think it was like 35,000 people, and when you have that many people, there's so many different interests, and I think college is really about the people and just trying to find something you're really interested in. So I did all of the clubs pretty much.
All of them? All of them. What did you do? What were they?
Oh, it was like I was in a marketing association, a finance association, the entrepreneur club, business fraternity, played soccer, and did a bunch of other random sports, like dodgeball and I don't know, all these, just like college is about experiencing and meeting people, in my opinion. It's not really about the school.
Yeah.
If I could do it over, I would have probably not gone to college, but been at college.
Hmm.
Maybe I would have
experienced the
I would have dropped
lifestyle.
in on some classes, the ones
Yeah.
I wanted to go to, and then I would just still be in all the clubs.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because of the degree, you just, not a lot of value behind that.
No.
And you can teach yourself whatever you want to learn.
Yeah, my entrepreneur teacher had never started a business. You know, it's like, I don't understand. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Huh.
Yeah. Plus, like, with Udemy and YouTube and all these things, like, you can learn a lot. That's how we learn. I mean, just take a course.
What's an example of a subject that you recently dug into?
Electric cars.
Electric cars. Okay. Yeah. So how did you go about that? What was your process? As you're going, I can just picture you behind your laptop and like all the different windows that are open. Like, how do you get in there to understand it?
The fastest way to learn is to find the right source. That cuts 90%. 90%. So it's like, find someone who really knows what they're talking about. And then that's the hard part, is figuring out that person.
Okay.
So
how do you figure out that person?
It's like the way they think about things is very principled in that they're trying to find the most base truth of a subject. Typically it ends up at physics or something. Like there's like main bodies of knowledge, right, that are pretty core to like how the world works.
Yeah.
Like math.
Foundational.
Physics and
understanding of how things work.
Yeah. Like the humanities, right? And then philosophy and like these kind of like core things, and then you build subjects back up.
So is that how you approach things? You take it all the way down to the basic principles?
I try to. It's difficult. It's very hard to do, and it takes a lot of time. So that's why I think a lot of people don't do it. But I really was just interested in electric cars, so much so I actually worked for Tesla just because I was so obsessed with them, and I was talking about them all the time that I was like, I might as well get paid to talk about it. Or it wasn't getting paid for William Painter, so you might as well make something.
What was your job with them?
I was just in sales, just in this store. I would just talk about the cars.
Oh, awesome.
But I was really into it, so it was fun.
That's great.
Yeah. But like one first principles subject website that I really like is called Wait But Why. Basically, the guy will read every book on a particular subject, and then he builds a core truth and then builds an article back up using stick figures and humor, like stick figure drawings. And it's just hilarious, it's easy to digest, and it's like based in truth. So to learn about electric cars, you have to understand physics. And like everything in the world is about energy. I know that sounds very Encinitas, but I use that as an adjective. But it is. I mean, the only reason we're talking or moving or alive right now is because of energy from the sun. Otherwise, the Earth would be a giant frozen ball. So like, how do you understand electric cars? Like you understand that basically the sun spits off joules of energy, like photons of light that have joules of energy in them. The plants then capture that energy and they convert it into like plant matter. An animal comes up and like eats that plant. The energy then like is transferred into the cow or whatever. And so like a long time ago, algae, like hundreds of millions of years ago, algae was there and it was absorbing all this light, and then it went underground and then like condensed into oil. So oil is like super condensed sunlight, essentially. But there are some unpriced externalities that happen when you burn oil. Anyway, you can build an electric car up from the physics, like photon and joule level. And you figure out that it's really efficient and that clearly that's a better alternative.
Because, well, so I mean, your example of the sunlight going to essentially the algae, then going into the ground, turning into fuel, then we use the fuel to generate
it's like,
energy.
Why did we have gasoline cars? Because it was really condensed. It was a great form of energy.
Yeah.
But now, like, you see technology cost curves and you see battery technology and energy density. Like, from a physics perspective, the energy density is becoming pretty good, and the energy efficiency of an electric engine is much higher. So then you just look at that and you're like, it's going to move that way, clearly.
So then what do you see? Looking forward, timeline for electric cars to have taken over?
To have taken over?
Yeah.
Well,
to be the majority.
10 years.
10 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's happening now. Like in Norway, it's already at 45%.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also learning something really fascinating of like once you understand these core bodies of knowledge, they sort of overlap and you can see new things. So for example, I'm really also interested in like artificial intelligence and like the rate of computational power over price. And so when you look at those things, then and electric cars, you realize that like full autonomy, like autonomous driving is going to happen relatively soon. So therefore, if you're looking at an investment, it's like it needs to be an electric car and also have the capability to be fully autonomous. You can see things that other people can't see because you have gone to like a really deep understanding.
Okay. So you break it down to the basic principles, and there are only so many basic principles that exist, right? So
Right.
the more, as you continue to learn and understand all these different basic principles that are really the foundation of everything, it's easier for you to now drill into, I want to know more about this. I kind of already understand some of the basic principles, so I get to apply that. And in some cases, you can just pull that right out of your head immediately and just kind of process it and understand it. And then
Yeah. So like when you were talking about the podcast and the show, and we were talking, you're like, I want to, get this out to the world, and I'm gonna like keep making episodes until I get my subscriber count to a certain level. I'm going, that's cool, but like if you look at what Facebook and Instagram and all these social networks do, is eventually you have so much happening in a feed that you can't show it organically, right? So then you have to use an AI to sort what's interesting to people. And if you do that, that means that if you're not doing whatever the AI thinks is right, then you don't get seen. So in order to be seen, you need to pay for it to be seen. So then how do you design a business that can do that?
And what you just said, you had to figure those things out. That you have to pay for views. You have to do that in order to get into the algorithm, and so that the AI is going to pick up on you and actually promote you and all that. There's a lot. What you just said that's not just common sense.
Well, remember when you had Instagram in the early days and it was all in order from when people were posting, and you would just scroll down. Eventually, you would get to where you had already seen the last time that you opened the app.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like that anymore.
Right.
So
and you mentioned AI, and you just started using AI. AI is now kind of running your marketing campaign, your online presence. Is that right?
Yeah, with both Facebook and Google.
Facebook.
And it's crazy because each year you see it get better. Like it was really not good back in the day, and so we had to be very technical, and we were being the AI essentially of being very sophisticated with marketing, and more it's like just set it with like no parameters and just let it figure it out. So it's changing really fast.
So how are you using AI today?
Well, we just make some content that we think is cool for our products, and then we just have it show it to people that it thinks are likely to buy.
Okay. All right. And then
that's it.
that's the basis behind it.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like we want to target all males between the age of 18 and 60 in the United States or something. I'm just using it as an example. And then you say, go. You set an objective of like, do I want views? Do I want clicks? Do I want purchases? Do I want add to carts? Whatever you want. And then let the AI figure it out.
And now you have Google helping you with that?
Yeah. So Google's like search, display, shopping, YouTube. They own YouTube. Yeah. So their AI helps on those channels too.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And we had talked earlier about Neuralink, the video that came out, which I haven't seen yet. You said it came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you predict with that related to technology and AI essentially now being connected to the human brain? I mean, what are the possibilities with that?
Yeah. Well, it's still really early. Like this is the beginning phase of a brain-machine interface, which basically right now is mostly a research project. The talk on Tuesday was to gather more academia to just help them. It's shocking how little we understand about how the brain works. We basically know, we're like, this general area does this general thing. And when you try and get to the neuron level, we don't really know how it works. So mostly, I think the next 10 years is probably going to be us figuring out how it works, how the brain works. And then, again, that cost computing performance chart, it's basically like the rate of computational power over the price and miniaturization. That's like one of those first principle things. So you can actually make investments based on that.
Talk about that.
Just means like, in the early 50s, a transistor was like huge and really expensive, and now we have billions of them on like something this big for cheaper. So this is if you look at it, it's a pretty steady, just like up and to the right line. It's like steady though, predictable. That's what I mean. Now we're getting into the brain-machine interface. You know that like the computational power of that and cost of that is going to get cheaper. And so that'll allow some really cool applications like, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, people that are paralyzed, blind. You can solve those problems.
And then likely, which will follow on that, is more peak performance and enhancing even the healthy human brain.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's
when it gets cool.
That's when it gets fun, right? That's when it gets exciting.
But there's also ethical things there of like, how do you broadly distribute that around the world? Because if you have someone who's like super rich and he buys a computer brain, or he augments his brain power to be 100 times smarter than anyone else, then like that's a bad situation.
Right.
So how do you distribute it to everyone at a reasonable price?
That's one of the scary things with AI in general, regardless of whether it's connected with the human brain or not. And actually, maybe even more scary when it's not. I don't know. It depends on the person, right? And their intention behind it.
I mean, I unfortunately, it's a situation where humans will become sort of obsolete or just irrelevant.
Humans, standalone humans, not connected to some type of technology.
So this is like a in my opinion, a good option.
It seems, I mean, it's kind of weird to think about it like this, but it seems like it's, I don't know if the word natural is right, but it's part of the evolution of the human being, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been using technology to help us evolve for many years. Even going back to fire, the first invention that we can point to.
Yeah.
It's a technology that helps us cook our meat so that we don't have to chew for 5 hours a day, which and increases the size of our brain.
Exactly.
So that
technology literally changed humans. Like our brains got bigger because we didn't have to devote as much resources to breaking down food in our gut.
Yeah.
So we are inexorably on a path with technology.
Yeah. So and there's going to be a lot of resistance, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Probably in the comments right now.
yeah, exactly.
Getting trolled, I'm sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fear around it, right? Because it's changed, it's new, it's an unknown. There's going to be ethical questions related to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's inevitable. I mean, I have no idea what the timeline would be because of mostly all of those things.
Well, the financial advantages are too great to not have it happen. You could regulate it here, probably should. But like it goes somewhere else, right? Just goes somewhere else.
Right. And that's what I'm also worried about with AI if it gets in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
And what could happen with that.
Yeah. Especially with social media and all these things, we're like incredibly delicate. And you guys have seen, I'm sure, like the deep fake technology and like basically you can record a video of anyone doing anything and have it look identical to the real person. And then you just syndicate it through social media and it's like, wow, there's a video of, let's say, President Trump saying something and acting like a drunk idiot. It's kind of hard to tell between the real thing, but it's like, oh, I can't believe he did that. It starts outrage, gets shared everywhere really fast. And you can do way more nefarious things than that. That's just a joke. But
society is so fragile, right? It wouldn't take much to tear anyone, any
the power went out
down.
in San Diego for 17 hours, and there was like looting and riots, and 17 hours.
Yeah. Connecting technology with the human brain, you combine the empathy, compassion, and the intuition really of a human that AI standalone doesn't have the ability
right, yeah.
to tap into, and you can combine those two. It's the ultimate, but it's also for me less scary.
But it's like, I think the question is like, what is consciousness? Because all you are right now is like electrical impulses firing in your head. And like, that's all a computer is too. It just thinks differently. So maybe consciousness is like a certain threshold of computational power. And again, that curve is going in that direction. So maybe you hit a certain level of computational power and suddenly it has consciousness. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows.
And that's what...
But then it could have empathy, potentially. It could be its own entity.
Oh, that's fascinating.
It would just think differently.
And for that to happen, it would need to be understood what consciousness is, right?
Yeah,
and
which is a hard problem. But Neuralink in that speech on Tuesday is like the first step.
It's likely not a human being who's going to be able to fully figure that out. It's going to be AI that can really deconstruct and help us understand what the heck consciousness is. Yeah. That's mind-boggling, right? Yeah. If all of a sudden the computer spits out the answer as to what consciousness is, a lot of religious beliefs, a lot of, this what we call spirituality, where it's unique for every single person. Everybody has their own beliefs, essentially around what is consciousness. Is there, is it God? Is it universe? What is that?
Yeah. Or simulation. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden a computer says, what's this? And it's proven out. That's mind-boggling to think that. It would be, I don't know, that could be catastrophic in itself. So
I think the 2030s will be like the decade of the brain. And that's where it will like, how we like sequence the human genome? I think we'll sequence the human brain in the 2030s.
And to have full understanding of how it works.
Yeah. And then things get crazy after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it just...
But we're just starting the process of how to even record what is happening at a detailed level. That's where we're at.
That's crazy.
But I'm not a brain scientist. I could also not know what I'm talking about. So.
Right. Well, it's fun to think about either way.
Yeah.
All right. Let's shift gears a little bit. I know, what are some things that you do as a business leader to continue to kind of enhance your effectiveness in your life? So things like, what do you do for leadership training? As far as community, do you have a community that helps support you with things? Is that important to you?
Yeah. Let's see. Where to go with that? First, like a core principle, what really turned the tide for our business, I talked a lot about struggling for a bunch of years, like not paying ourselves for many years. And then through kind of forced necessity, it was like, okay, we're going bankrupt again. Got to figure this thing out. Clearly, like, whatever we're doing is not working. And so we're an e-commerce business. We should probably learn e-commerce for real. And then it's finding the right source. So it got to the point where it was like, we have no money. We just have to learn all day. That's all we're going to do. So we get to the office at 8 and then learn all day until like 10 p.m. or something. We do that every day until it worked. So we literally bought every course on e-commerce and watched them all.
Okay.
And we ended up finding one by Ezra Firestone. He runs a company called Smart Marketer. And it was kind of like, here are the fundamentals of e-commerce. These are the pillars that matter. The other ones were kind of more surface level or tactical, what those things change. But this was like, this is what you need. These are the tools. This is the foundation of what makes this machine work. And then we installed those, and it took a few months to build that stuff out. And once we did, it worked. Like, all of a sudden, we started capturing the traffic, and it worked. So a core principle in our company is education first, always. So anyone in our company wants to do a course, we pay for it, and they learn. And as a result, I think our people are always on the cutting edge of whatever is out there, and they understand it really well. I think we empower a lot of autonomy, so we don't really have hours or anything, and people just come to the office when they want to. But you hire people that can do that, right?
You're building your team with a bunch of people that are just hungry for knowledge. They're just always looking to
learn. Values. They're good people. They're principled.
And you do a couple different things where the house that you live in is, talk about that, because that's kind of a community.
Yeah, I live in this house called the Entrepreneur House, and it's basically a bunch of entrepreneurs that live in a house, but we invest in resources to make us more productive. So we have a chef, a maid, not personal assistant. We have like laundry, maintenance. The whole thing is automated. So it's actually pretty affordable to do that. So I would recommend it.
I bet. And then what are the interactions with, what are the benefits of being in a house with other entrepreneurs?
We try and establish it so that everyone in the house is like a peer level. So we're able to really like provide input on the business. So we do a mastermind every Monday where we'll just talk through the biggest business issue or personal issue. And then you have basically a board of directors helping you. Also the house is has a lot of accountability. So our goals are on the board. Okay. And people are like, where are you at with this? And it's right there. And when you live with someone, they start to really like understand how you are as a person and what your drawbacks are. So they can see weaknesses or a different lens of reflection than maybe you would have yourself.
Okay. And then they deliver that feedback to you?
Yeah, in a very honest, accountable way.
Okay. And obviously,
everyone has blind spots. No one's perfect. So
yeah, I mean, it's learning about what you don't know about yourself that others do.
Exactly, it's one of the most important things.
That is huge. Yeah. And then also, I know that you're in a Junto group, right?
Yeah. So that's Junto Global. That's a group I co-founded like 10 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
And what is that?
Well, it started as at the time I had a sales job. Where I was driving up and down the coast of California every day. It sucked. I was in my car a lot. That's where I read all those books. Or audiobooks.
Yeah, perfect.
But I didn't have a time to meet with my friends at all. Just driving nonstop. So I was like, it would be cool if there was a way to have a coffee meeting or a lunch meeting with someone, but if I could just combine them all my friends together in one group, and then have that meeting, then I could catch up with everyone. Again, breaking friendship down to a first principles basis, it's it's values. So like integrity. Like if someone doesn't have integrity, you really don't want to be friends.
Right.
So it's values. It's frequency. So like how often you see them or contact them, and consistency of that frequency, and then vulnerability. That's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah. So if you do that in an environment on a frequent enough basis, you will be friends with them.
Okay.
And then
it's fascinating.
Yeah, and then with a significant other relationship, it's like that plus a few other things.
Trust, romance, and attraction, and that kind of thing. Okay.
I know it's just weird to break things down like that, but I know it sounds weird, but it makes things really simple.
So then you took those basic principles and you said, I'm going to create that.
Yeah, with Parker Harris, he was at Qualcomm at the time. Basically, we were like, we're going to do this meeting, and we're going to do it once a week. It was every Friday at 6 p.m. We put it at 6 p.m. on purpose because we wanted people that actually cared about this meeting to go, and everyone else that wanted to like hang out or do something else at the time just wouldn't go. So we had to like really...
If they wanted to be at a happy hour, then
right, exactly,
part of the group,
yeah.
Okay.
And then we just met once a week for 10 years.
And you're still the group's going?
Yeah, it's a little different frequency. Yeah, pretty much. Some people have left or had families or moved away.
Sure.
But I would say like my deepest friendships are from that.
Okay. And from a business standpoint, what do you get out of that?
Well, you talk about whatever's going on and get different perspective as well.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's mostly like I do it for the friendship, like the conversation we're having about AI or whatever. Like that's what a meeting would be.
Oh, cool.
And then people get interested, they give their own inputs, they're off learning something. I used to describe it as a human RSS feed, which I know like doesn't really make sense anymore, but it's like my friends are like really smart and everyone's really smart and they're all learning their own thing. And so this was a way of them sharing the top 1% of what they're learning.
That's great. It's just a spot where you get to share knowledge, not on any certain topics, but you will...
It's different every time. Every time it's different.
So you just get together and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever's interesting.
If you have someone of similar values that cares about learning, that was another one, then like they're going to have something to talk about. So you don't need to have any prep.
That's great.
It's like, cool, we got good people in a room, like let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I love that.
And then there was a little bit of moderation, but So that's been very impactful.
Excellent. So yeah, what are some of the takeaways? What are the biggest ways that having a group like that has helped you?
Yeah. Oh man, it's funny. Another topic I'm really interested in is like Bitcoin. I remember Bitcoin being talked in Junto, like in 2012, 2013. You know, like, hey guys, Bitcoin's at $10. Like, what do you guys think? I'm like, stupid. And then, guys, Bitcoin's at $300. Like, what do you think? Stupid. And now I'm like, oh.
So did
I didn't go to a first principles level with it at the
Did
time.
anybody in the group invest at that time?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right.
But we talked about it a lot.
Because you guys all talked each other out.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, this is like magic internet money for buying
Matt
drugs.
thinks it's stupid, so I'm not going to anymore.
Yeah, man, I was wrong about that. So
that's a good lesson learned, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, well, it's a perfect example of taking something at surface value, right? Of like initially thinking about it, you're like, it's not backed by anything, or like it's being used for crime, or like it's really early. That was like, I took a 1 second pass and was like, no.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't go deep. And if I did, I think I would get it. I think I get it now.
You get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're fully invested and you get that. And you mentioned it as part of your portfolio.
Yeah, I recommend it being between like 1% and 5% of everyone's portfolio.
Yeah, right on.
The first principles of that is it's hard. It took me like a probably solid year of just reading and learning because you have to understand macroeconomics, game theory, cryptography, a lot of, it's like a very multidisciplined thing. But that's, again, you see that overlap now. So I think the best source of learning for macroeconomics is Ray Dalio. So I read a lot of his books, and then you can sort of overlap things. So Ray Dalio is very like Keynesian economics. Bitcoin, in principle, is very Austrian economics, which they don't teach in school. But you can still understand where the macroeconomy is going, and then you overlay that with the other first principles, and you can kind of see a pretty clear picture.
Right on, yeah. It's all about breaking it down to the basic principles to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's hard to do that. It took a long time of reading and studying to do that. And that's why, like, when you watch the news or the financial shows, like they're covering all of the things. They can't do that. They have to take a snap judgment. Yeah. Same with even financial analysts. They're covering 13 companies. You just can't do it at that level.
So it's really very surface, not a lot of meaning behind
it. Yeah. Or they're looking at the financials, they look backwards, right? Because that's all you have. It shows. And then maybe a company gives guidance of the next quarter or the next year, but it's like, what if it's
one data point?
That?
That's just one little data point.
Yeah, and they're going, this is a good company, this is a bad company. It's like, well, it's more complicated than that.
Yeah. I would say that Warren Buffett has a better grasp of the basic principles of his investments, and that contributes to his success.
Yeah, and he tends to stick in his lane, like the things that he knows. Like, he doesn't understand tech.
And he knows it, and
he bought Apple stock because he took his phone away from like his daughter or his granddaughter, and she like freaked out and was like having withdrawals. And he's like, man, if
there's something there,
like,
if that's the next generation, then I'm investing in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. So to wrap it up, what advice would you have for somebody who's coming up, say a younger professional who's also entrepreneurial, and they want to build their business. They want to, be successful in, I would say in life, but maybe if you want to take it to the e-commerce route, you can do that too. But
e-commerce is hard. I would say, one, like, know yourself. So take, I have this like values exercise. Maybe we can put in the show notes. It's just a list of values.
Okay.
There's things called terminal values and instrumental values. They're different types. And it's just a list. And then the exercise is to order them, put them in order for you.
Okay.
It's really hard to do, actually, because they're all good. So it's like, do you care about freedom? Do you care about national security? Do you care about family? Do you care about, like wealth? Do you care about your health? Like, all of them are good. So which one's the most important one? And try and get like a top 6.
Okay.
Of each type.
I imagine it'd be tough because you mentioned family. It's like, okay, I have to am I putting something above family, right?
Yeah.
Those are hard decisions to make.
Super hard.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but in ranking them in order, you really have to think about it. What do I care about? How do I feel about this? Well, and then, so you take your top 6, write like a paragraph of why that thing is important to you, and also how could you best live that value? Like, what does it look like to have freedom? Whatever. That was mine. That was one of mine. I think one was like freedom, wisdom, a creative, or an enjoyable life, I think was one.
Yeah.
And you see that reflected in our company. So you can't build a company without knowing yourself and what you care about. Otherwise, you build a company that you don't like and you hate. And then you end up being pissed off at your company and you resent it.
So this is helping you get clear on the life you want to live and how you want to live it.
Then you design the business.
You design the business as to help support and prop you up to be able to live this life you want to live.
Yeah.
Versus building this business that is going to run your life.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so a lot of times at William Painter, we say no to opportunities because it's like, well, does it help is it going to be worth the time and effort, or does it make our life better, for example?
Right. Okay.
That's how we're making decisions now.
All right.
And so, that focus on values, then figure out your ideal life, like your ideal day, then work backwards, like what are the steps to get there? So in college, I had a leadership class, and we had to do this. We had the values exercise, and then we wrote our dream day. So it's just a paper I wrote. And I was like, I'm in Buenos Aires. I wake up. I play the guitar. I have like this like beautiful girl, and I go like learn things. And I teach local businesses. Like I solve their problem or try and help. And then I have dinner with friends and wine. And like that was my day. And I was like, okay, well, what do you need to do that? Well, it's like you can't be in an office. You can't.
Right.
You need to have some cash flow to do that. And so blah, blah, blah. You work backwards. And so I wrote a 13-step plan to get to that day, and I'm on like step 11.
Wow.
All the steps happened.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
True intention.
Yeah, I was like find a mentor, like learn about real estate, like I bought a house and blah blah blah. Like this was just part of the plan.
That's great.
So that would be one, and then once you
wait. So what are the last two steps? What are the next two steps for you then?
The last one is automate the business, and then the 13th step is have your dream day.
Just that's it.
Yeah,
there.
It's like a couple more. Yeah.
So automate the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, which could mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I really enjoy all of the people that we're with, and so it's going to be more of like how do we do the things that we really enjoy and not do the things that we don't, and just get like more specific about that.
Yeah.
And then. So values, dream day, just pick something that like it doesn't make sense. Like sunglasses, not a great business, horrible business. Then you just, if it's aligned with your values and your eventual goal, then you can suffer because you're going to suffer and just be okay with that.
Have you suffered?
Yeah, it was hard.
Okay.
It's really hard. But I still enjoyed it.
I was going to say,
like
suffering,
I would do it again,
but you
man,
enjoy the suffering. Like you kind of, in some way, you said that even when you started your business, you suffered on purpose. You did it the hard way.
Well, that made it worth it, right? Like I think suffering is really important.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird. That could get taken out of context, but
right. Well, it's
it makes
contrast.
you stronger. It gives you perspective.
Yeah.
I think it was Seneca. He was like super wealthy, and I think he like read all the books pretty much at the time back in the day. And so he would just intentionally suffer occasionally. Be like, cool, I'm going to live a day where I don't have anything. I'm just homeless. And I'm going to go out in the streets and be homeless. And it gives you that perspective. It grounds you again.
Yeah. It has you really appreciating the beauty of life.
Yeah.
And all that it brings.
And I think the slow suffering path of growth is just more sustainable than like, hey, I'm going to start a company, raise a couple million, like I'm on a rocket ship, the rocket ship exploded. And then the last thing is just focusing on learning. Find the right source, then learn. Like there was a girl who I recently met who wanted to learn about Amazon, like get into selling stuff on Amazon. You want to do Amazon. There's a lot of companies that manage brands, Amazon accounts, like agencies essentially that do Amazon. I was like, go work for them. Then you're literally managing 50 products.
Yeah.
You learn the ins and outs. You learn how to upload. It just becomes second nature. You put in your reps, and then you go launch your Amazon thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you get paid to learn about the thing that's on that path from the right source?
Yeah.
And that'll hugely accelerate the process.
That's great.
So that would be the final step.
Awesome. I know you have to run, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, man.